All right. Well, it is now my pleasure to introduce our next performer here, who I'm sure a lot of you are here to see. And we're going to start by learning how to pronounce her name. So, we always know when telemarketers call, telemarketers. So, her name is pronounced Tella Aadsen, like story Tella. And she's been fishing since she was 7 years old, and we've been running a boat together for the last 13 years, and she's the most talented writer I know. You're in for a treat.
Thanks Joel, and thanks all of you for being here. For us, summer is not a sexy season. As our down south land friends are peeling their layers off, we're putting more on. The same faded sweatpants with battery acid holes seared through the thigh, the salt and gore crusted hoodies that were tired when we got them at Value Village 4 seasons ago. Our bathroom is a 5-gallon bucket on the back deck. I chat with you without shame, the plastic rim biting a painful imprint into my cheeks. Weeks pass without showers. Things that are sensual pleasures on land become irritants at sea. Food is nothing more than fuel. Garlic bread falls from my swollen fingers. Mid-bite, bounces into the spaghetti that stands between me and sleep. Sleep. In the summer, I fantasize about sleep. Sneaking into the forecastle, unable to bite back a groan when 5 inches of memory foam compresses to embrace me. Pulling the unzipped sleeping bag over my head, not caring about the spot at the foot that's always damp, ignoring the mildew above, closing my eyes for a quickie. Otherwise, desire is a second cousin I know from stories, but can't remember meeting. Even if we have the energy, our bunk's coffin-close ceiling ensures months of no-frills lovemaking. Efficiency is a selling point. In these early July days when the sun doesn't set, just pauses for a brief intermission, we're already falling asleep when we finally fall horizontal. Spooned against me, you run a hand down my ribs and mumble, "Such nice lines. I like that you praise my curves as you would a boat's." Down south, we almost never argue. Over 14 years together, we've learned to communicate with an openness none of our families modeled. Here, those skills slide right out the scuppers, sinking to the crustaceans below. Weighted with the pressure to make a year's livelihood in a matter of months, we reveal our least attractive selves. Exhaustion makes us petty, petulant, critical, reactionary. Ours is an unpredictable business grounded in uncertainty, but I can guarantee we'll have a fight on day 10. This time, it's that I put my float line out as you're bringing in your deep. 3 lines tangle. We're finally in fish, king salmon biting like bulldogs, silver slabs filling the bins. We spend the next half hour cutting snarled gear apart. Your movements fast, angry. I keep my head down, ashamed to make such a greenhorn's mistake. when all our lines are finally back out and fishing again, and we're scrambling to catch up, flinging jewel-toned organs to croaking albatross, you break the silence. I still love you. My shoulders drop like an outgoing tide. We are bilingual here, speaking a different love language on the water than we do on land. When you give me the midnight to 4 a.m. wheel watch without hesitation. When the wind comes up fast and hard, and I stay on deck to clean a pile of fish while you get us to the harbor. Hang on, you say. And every time a wave flings us up, down with a bone-jarring slam, I watch you swing around from the helm, eyes wide, to make sure I'm still here. I'm still here. When I gaff a coho, and she hits the deck fighting with everything she's got, beating the bulwarks, trailing scales like stardust, blood sprays the rails, the girdies, me. I wear blood all season. It's the spatter of substance I react to. Face scrunched tight, I mule blind cries for help. You wipe salmon shit off my eyelids with your shirt sleeve. There you go, you say. You're okay. Whoa. I agree. Wiping salmon shit with your love's sleeve is worthy of applause. One more. When it's day 15 and we're finally headed back to town, the hold full of frozen ingots wedged into every bin, I slide onto the cracked vinyl pilot seat next to you, the same seat your parents snuggled in over 35 years ago, coming and going from their own ocean harvests. The Nurka rides heavy now, slogging through the seas. I am lighter, proud of our matched work ethic and contributions. Tiny slights I stewed over are forgotten. I lean into you, and your right arm pulls me tight. I'm not sick of you yet, you say. I'm not sick of you either. And that, by any language, is the truest definition of love at sea. Thanks. Thanks, friends. I want to do something a little different here next. Very short here, but very important. Maybe the most important thing out of all of this that we're here tonight. These are not my words. These are the words by someone I would love to see up here on stage one of these days, Megan Emerson, who is one of the most gifted wordsmiths I have ever met. She is currently driving a tugboat somewhere up the Columbia, maybe in Idaho, and we cannot get her on a stage, so I have permission to share her words on her behalf to you. I was sitting in a bakery earlier this month, wedged behind a little wooden table, listening to a fiddler and a guitarist make music. These are people I know. I've listened to them for years, and I recognize the tunes they play. It's a little like hearing the opening notes of a CD you've kept in your car for a decade. You know how it goes, how the players gently bend the songs into the shape of their own bodies, and you love it with a fierce and quiet sort of reverence. It's the same feeling I get once a year when I stand in a bar on the Oregon coast, wedged between the bodies of sinewy people in plaid, and listen to them recite poetry about the ocean. These are also people I know. I grew up with them, with their cadences and slang. It's a little like hearing the opening lines to a story your parents tell across the kitchen table. You know how it goes, how the boats were floated and foundered, and you don't want them to stop, even though it always makes you cry. So the listening got me thinking that being an audience is a sacred goddamn duty. It's paying tribute to hours and years of people's lives. It's being handed a tiny glass of the spirit they've distilled out of it all and feeling it burn and catch fire as it slides down your throat. I don't need to be a musician or a poet. I don't need to stand on a stage. What I need is to be there when the glass is being handed around, as the room sways and gasps and moves its feet, to witness an artist make a moment in time ring out like a bell and fall silent. It's to you. It's to you. That is to you. Yeah. Megan Emerson. Yeah. I'm going to close one piece here called Northern Lights. My dad walks me out our long driveway to wait for the school bus. Night grips Matanuska mornings in a tight fist. My gray moon boots waffle stomp snow as I follow his flashlight beam to the park's highway. This pre-dawn walk is our time. My dad is building a boat in the backyard. Long as I have known him, he has labored for a future I can't picture on an ocean I have never met. His waking hours are devoted to the emergence of his vision. A peculiar dry crackle splits the air. My dad lifts a gloved hand, pointing up. There, little sharp eyes. See that? Oh, boy. Cold stings my nostrils as I crane my neck. I nod, anxious to remain worthy of my nickname and to share his offering, but all I see is the black canvas of night. Looking back, I can't say why my eyes didn't decipher the northern lights above. Maybe the cosmos was too big for my 5-year-old mind to comprehend. Maybe the emerald phantoms shimmied just out of reach, vaporized before I could grasp them. I remember wondering how this nearly blind man could see magic I couldn't. 8 months before I was born, a horse kicked my dad in the face. Surgeons rebuilt his cheekbones, nose, eye sockets. He lived, but lost most of his sight. He turned his focus to a vast, all-consuming project, something to affirm his diminished body's worth. 7 years later, the 45-foot Askari launched in Anchorage. Her Swahili name meant protector, and that's what she was, a guardian between my dad and his depression. She was an ark carrying him, my mom, and me across the Gulf to Sitka, where we became a fishing family. 34 years later, I am the only one of us still fishing. Following my dad's lead as surely as I once followed his flashlight beam, I've turned to the ocean to heal my own broken bits. Many boats have been my protectors. Many thousands of salmon have passed through my hands. Like those luminous swaths of impermanent glory sweeping the sky, salmon take their magic with them. Turquoise, amethyst, and gold melt down to one crimson wash out the scuppers. As summer fades to fall, salmon become reluctant biters. They evade my hooks and abandon the outer coast's open waters, moving inland. Bruise-colored bodies bump against riverbeds, sweeping stones with leprous fins. devoted to nurturing offspring they'll never meet, with fruits of tomorrows they won't taste. My dad moved inland too, far from the Alaskan Ocean. He is spending his final days on a couch in North Carolina. One of the last observations he shared with me, before a stroke stole words from his tongue, was to muse, "Sometimes there are places in our lives where we think we've learned what we needed to, but the universe determines otherwise. Some experiences we have to go back to because we haven't finished seeing the lesson yet." I think about what my dad's lessons might have been, what mine are. Think about the times I've questioned my worth, failed to see my own inner light. I look to salmon, those dying by my hand, those finning free and determined. And it's not brokenness I see. It's the opportunity each of us has for creation, for powerful growth and wondrous possibility, limitless radiance rippling past reach and recognition, bigger than we may ever know. Rippling like salmon surging, leaping, scales twinkling, fins flashing, life sparkling. The lesson dances before me, and the sky is falling into the sea. I am falling into a mirror to the past, through which I can suddenly see the lights. I can see the light, and I am finally seeing through my dad's eyes. Thank you.